This is the graph that we did today during guided practice when we worked it out with other students. I'm going to go ahead and do this with you here. So number one, what is f of 2? Remember that f represents a function. The input is 2. So you're going to go to 2, which is right here on the graph, 2. And we notice that the output is 4. So 2 is the input, 4 is the output. So the way you answer this is f of 2 equals 4. Number 2, we have f of negative 5, so we're going to go to negative 5. And you notice that it doesn't go either up or down, so the y value is 0. So it's f of negative 5 equals 0. Number 3 is different. Now they're giving you the y value and you're trying to figure out the input. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the graph, and wherever it's 3, in this case the y value is 3, so we want to know what the x value is, and I'm going to use a different color to show you where the x value is, and you can make like an estimation. It's between 2 and 3. So I want to say the input is going to be 2.5. So for number 4, we're looking for the maximum. It says, at what x value does this function have a maximum value? The maximum is the highest y value, and you notice 4 is the highest y value for this function. So what you're going to do is you're going to write 4. But they want to know the x value, right? So it's going to be at x equal 2, the y value is 4. Number 5, it says, at what x value does this function have a minimum value? So if you look at your graph, the lowest y value occurs here at negative 2. So at x equal negative 3, at negative 5, at x equal negative 5, the y value is negative 2, and that's the lowest point. So for number 6, we got to do some thinking. It says, over what x values is this function increasing? So I'm going to go ahead and erase. I'm going to erase all this here. And I want to know over what x values is this function increasing. Now I do know that it's increasing here. And I also know that it's increasing here. And I know that it's increasing here. So the only thing that we're interested is over what x values. And there's many x values. But for the gray one, we're going to go ahead and start at the lowest x value, which is negative 6. And we're going to include negative 6, comma, up to negative 4. That's the first interval. The next interval, you notice it's at this point. It starts at this point and it ends at this point. So it's going to start at negative 2, x equal negative 2, and it's all the numbers between negative 2 and 2. And then the next interval starts at 4, and it ends at 6. Now I want you to notice that these are points here, so that means to include the endpoints as your starting value. And so that's why we have brackets. I'm going to go ahead and move this up just a little to do 7 and 8. Okay. Do we have a constant? It says over what x values is this function constant? So if we look, and I'm going to use green here, we have this here is a constant. And that's the only area of the graph that it is a constant. And what is the, over what x values is this function a constant? So we're looking at several x values. We know it starts at negative 4, and it goes 2, negative 2. Okay. Over what x values is this function positive? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. We're looking at the y values that are positive. So it's anything that's above the y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that part. So it's anything that's above the y-axis, which is the yellow part. That's what we're interested in. So over what x values is this function positive? Well, we know it starts at -5, and it goes all the way to 4. And I'm going to use brackets since those are your starting points. And then also, it's also positive from 4 to 0. Number 9, I don't know if you can see the question. It says, where does this function equal 0? Actually, there's 2 places where this function equals 0. It equals 0 here, which is at -5, and it equals 0 at 4. So there's actually 2 places. So it's at x equal -5 and x equal 4. Number 10, over what x values is this function negative? So I'm going to go ahead and highlight. So the red part is where it's all negative, the y values are negative. So you notice the only part of this graph is right here. That falls below that. So we need to know that interval. So it starts at -6 and it ends at -5.